We do have more bullish announcements when it comes to Solana, of course, as always.
What do you want me to say, Simon? It's just this is a company that prints fucking money and has world-class talent.
There's always going to be a redistribution of wealth. So if you have a live token, you make some people rich and you make some people poor.
This just feels like crime is legal again.
It feels like it's a big week and it feels like volatility is here. People are confused.
But if you do care about Solana alignment, yeah, fuck those guys.
I'm probably get beaten up for saying this, but every single Bitcoin holder was in profit over the weekend. Every single person. Welcome to Sol Brothers, the finest podcast on Solana with my dear friend Ino and myself, Simon, where it is our job to throw you into this crazy Solana rabbit hole and show you around in our exciting ecosystem.
Our mission is to help you stay on top of the latest and greatest on Solana so that you never run out of fun things to talk about. Simon, we have our good friend Will in the comments. Ich liebe dich. How are you?
Ooh, I love your German, bro. I love your German. It's on point. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Sol Brothers. Thanks, Will, for joining the live stream as well. We are recording on this beautiful, fine Monday evening for me, morning for you, and it's the 14th of July, and we just made a new Bitcoin all-time high. That rhymed, by the way. So congrats to everyone who has been diamond holding their BTC backs into this new all-time high. Every single Bitcoin holder was in profit over the weekend. Every single person who ever bought Bitcoin. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that a crazy stat?
Yeah.
It's rare. That's very rare. Usually we have a lot of people underwater because people are flocking into Bitcoin at these levels right now. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, is why we're pumping. We're going to look at charts today. We're going to talk a little bit about prices. We're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're going to talk about Solana. We're going to try to make sense of what's happening right now because it feels like it's a big week and it feels like volatility is here. People are confused and everyone asks, is that it? Are we going to the moon again? Guys, we are already at the moon. Let me tell you that first of all. But also people are asking, alt season, when is the liquidity flipping from the majors to the minors? People asking what the fuck is happening with pumpdotfun. The token is launching literally right now. I think we need to actually, while we're recording this, we need to check the accounts and check the news, what's happening with Pump. So they just raised $400 million in 12 minutes over the weekend in one of the biggest fundraisers in that amount of time in history of humankind. So that's one thing we're going to double tap as well and give you guys our spicy takes on this. Because let me tell you, Eno is not a fan of what's happening at pump.fun. Isn't it right?
Okay, look. It's not that I hate them as people. Like, I don't know him as a person. And I think that's the only way that you can make those kind of judgment calls. But in terms of where I feel like the Pump team stands as it pertains to Solana alignment, which is a very niche thing to care about. But if you do care about Solana alignment, yeah, fuck those guys, like 100%. There's nothing to celebrate there. But not a huge fan. Not a huge fan of the product. Not a huge fan of the people. Not a huge fan of the way they design things. Literally anything that they touch is, persona non grata for me. But I think you have a more reasonable take, which is that it brings liquidity and attention to the ecosystem, which is all true. So I can't deny any of that.
Yep, we're gonna deep dive a little bit more about that. But the agenda is packed, for today's episode.
Yeah.
As always, we're live streaming this today on a Monday, a little bit different time because of time zone changes of our physical locations. But we're live streaming every single Monday, usually around 8 a.m. UTC. If there's a change on the schedule, we let people usually know on X. Today was a bit of a short notice, but if you're listening to this also anywhere else, then make sure to check out the Sol Brothers account on all other channels because we are on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. So you can follow us everywhere there. We do amazing short form content on X, and you can just stay up to date with what the heck is happening on Solana by just following Sol Brothers, right? That's the mission one, shipping the latest and greatest to you with vibes and fun and entertainment because, I guess that's just who we are. And besides that, today we're going to talk about ETF news. We're going to talk about Bullish, an exchange called Bullish and what they're doing on Solana. We're going to talk about other important Solana news around people moving roles from major exchanges to Foundation.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about more about that, and we're going to highlight the Q2 report from Jupiter, because Jupiter released a Q2 report, basically recapping, first time in history they did that in this format, recapping 2025 Q2 with all the crazy things that have been shipped coming out of Jupiter, and with a glance into the future. So we're going to unpack what was mentioned in the Q2 report for Jupiter. For every Jup whales out there, this is for you. And we're going to also dive deeper into the whole pump drama. I call it drama because for us it's drama. For others it might be glorious, but we'll find out if that is a good opinion or not. But in our opinion, there's definitely some spicy takes as well. Yep, that's pretty much it. Where the fuck do we start? You tell me.
We should definitely start with I guess price action for Bitcoin as well as Solana, but like you can already see this backstage. Like my eyes are like glued on the pump charts right now. I'm just like super fascinated by the price movement. But like I think we should definitely talk about the pump chart. But first, like fundamentals, like I don't know. That's where my head is at.
Yes, that's usually how we start. Let's zoom out a little bit. Please take care of the screen share so people who are watching the visual as well here can actually see what we're looking at. We're right now looking at the 4-hour Solana chart here in my screen share. If you're on YouTube, you can follow that. And if you're watching the long form on Twitter as well, you can see it with visual, or if you're on the live stream as well, then here you go. We're looking at Solana chart. And right now we're moving upwards, like zoomed out without any big indicators on my chart. In the 4-hour chart, it actually looks pretty, it doesn't look that exciting, like zoomed out, which is great. That's a great sign again that you need to zoom out sometimes, because the chart looks, kind of boring. Like we did like a dip here, then we had a little recovery rally, then we went sideways since then, right? So this is all since 7th of April. Now it's already the 14th of July. Okay, so 7th of April, we saw the bottom at $95, the local bottom here in this cycle. For this year at least, around the tariff news. And since then, Solana has been recovering upwards and then going down and sideways since then. And now we're attempting to break out yet again into a new high. So let's put some indicators on here and look at the broader cycles again, mainly based on Elliott wave theory. So we can see that we completed the 5-wave structure over here. Then in the broader scheme, zooming out, this whole 5 waves was a wave 1. We saw a retracement into a wave 2 that pretty much bottomed out at the perfect level for wave 2 correction. And now we are in this broader wave 3 to the upside. As you can see on the visual right now, there's quite a breathing room to the upside still for that third wave, right? Usually the third wave is the most impulsive wave in any Elliott wave 5-wave move. So that means that we could see, pretty steep climbing of the price chart here in the $200 plus levels at some point soon. Okay, and now we need to make sense of what happens in the middle. And as you can see, in the middle, since we bottomed here in this wave 2, in the retracement level here around the 61.8 pip level, we are seeing an upwards move here. And right now we're in a third wave again in the minor count, 1, 2, 3, right? This is the third wave, the impulse to the upside. And basically what we're doing right now, is we're watching for the top of that third wave. And this third wave again has some smaller counts that we can also identify. If we really want to swing trade this and you guys want to, do like daily trading activities, then you need to look at these inner wave counts here, right? Because in that larger third wave, we need to top out quite soon. Okay, that's my kind of the most important point that I want to make here before we dive a little bit deeper into another fourth wave recovery, which could bring us, it won't bring us too far down, honestly, right? This fourth wave here. It won't bring us to $120 or something, because the fourth wave usually, we can even draw this on the chart already, it usually finds support. Let's say we're topping out here closely to $170 now. Then the fourth wave here would bring us into levels like maximum $150. So it's not that far away even, right? So that would be the retracement that we're looking for, either from here or one more high, right? So we could see one more high to kind of top out in a fifth wave. That would be probably best, honestly. Like it would make more sense to have like one more push to the upside. But at market open, US market open today on Monday, we saw like a pretty aggressive rejection already. So I am considering right now in the short term, for everyone who's watching this timely, in the short term, I'm considering that this fourth wave here that we're in before the fifth push to the upside is not done yet. And this fourth wave, as I told many times before, the fourth wave usually is a bit, it's volatile. It can stretch over a longer time period, like a couple of days, maybe even if we're in discounts here. And we might have seen an A, B corrective structure and now a C to the downside, which could bring us to $156 approximately. We can't go much lower than that, otherwise it would invalidate the point.
If the third wave is the most impulsive, then like, can we really expect all that much out of the fifth wave? Because it kind of looks like if that was it, is hard rejection on the 60 at $1.68. Like, what's the conventional wisdom there? Like, definitely a higher high, but it's not like we should expect like an explosive move to the upside, or is that incorrect?
The thing is, we haven't surpassed this third wave here yet, right? In the sub count. So normally this fifth wave here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This needs to surpass the third level. So we need to break out here a little bit further. Sure. And it can happen. But like I said, it could also happen after a longer correction here. And when I say longer, I mean usually days, right? So we might go down here in a 4 or 5 in ABC. And maybe we see like some lower levels here again, right? So it is kind of choppy right now. But I think what's important is that the trend obviously points upwards, right? So the trend goes up right now. So if you're trading short positions right now, which is totally feasible, you can do that, but you're trading against the trend, and you need to definitely, in my personal recommendation, without giving any financial advice, as always, is to not use too much leverage in these shorts, right? Because in an uptrend, in a volatile asset as Bitcoin or Solana, you can get stopped out really quickly in an uptrend if you trade against it, if you short against it, right? So you don't want to put on 100x on a short right now. It's pure gamble, right? Could you short the B2C right now? Yeah, sure, right? Like that's actually feasible. Like like you could short this move down, and then and then enter maybe here again for an upward trend, or if you want to do the best practice, you just start hodling spot positions and wait for the larger time frames here in the 4-hour chart. So until we reach these higher levels here, right? Again. Because it's gonna happen. Like this third wave here to the upside, it needs to happen at some point. If nothing major changes. Now, one thing I want to say, and we can stop the screen share again, return back to the speaker view. So one thing I want to say is that there is definitely quite a few events that we can't foresee right now with a government like the US government right now. It is very volatile. Like if Trump says something wrong right now, he might nuke the charts, right? And we reverse again. So last week, did you see all the tariff news that got spit out last week again? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Like a long list of tariffs.
Yeah.
It was like 10, 20 countries or something. They slapped some tariffs on again, and the tariffs are like 20, 30, 40% ish, like nothing too crazy, but still, compared to pre-Trump, we're up at least 20% on average on tariffs on other states. So that's definitely not trade war, but it's not good for the economy. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The China tariff break until 1st of August-ish, I think, is not really clarified yet what's going to happen after. So that's another thing we need to keep in mind that might also add some volatility. So there's things that can come out of the White House right now that could nuke shit. Keep that in mind when looking at these price levels.
Totally. It's a scary time. Like the thing is, I think one of the hallmarks of being in crypto is when the times are not very good, you stress out about whether or not there will ever be another bull market again. And then when you start to see a little bit of glimmer of hope, let me try that again. But when you start to see glimmers of hope, that's when it gets really, really scary, because like, when is it going to end, right? And it's like any number of things could sink the ship, so it's not a great feeling.
But the thing, like, when is it going to end is a good question, because let's go back and look at BTC here real quick as well. When is the pump going to end? We don't know, because right now it's up only. Like it looks like it's up only, right?
Right.
There's not a lot of like this retracement we're seeing right now is the biggest retracement we've seen in the past days, because since then it has been green candle, sideways consolidation, green candle, sideways, green candle, sideways, right? Like there has been no dip. And that's usually what happens when Bitcoin reaches all-time highs. And you know why? Because people are, first of all, there's no volume walls. There's no resistances. We're in free fall upwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's no resistance levels on the chart. We're just flowing. We're just going up, right? You don't know when it's stopping really. So what you can do is you can draw some Fibonacci extensions and shit, right? But usually at this price, people flock in, and then you have the effect of FOMO and greedy people flocking into Bitcoin, buying the asset now because they have been fading the past 12 months, right? And they're like, oh damn, this thing is alive and it was not a rug. They discover Bitcoin again. They put money in. And then we have new inflows. But if people buy in right now at $120,000, they won't sell very soon because they will sell when they have some return on investment, right? That means these new buyers right now, they're not going to create any sell pressure. It's only buy pressure. So the only sell pressure we're getting now is people starting to take profits. And that might happen anytime soon. So in my opinion as well, Bitcoin is right now in a very oversold, overbought territory. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the dominance for Bitcoin, is Bitcoin dominance still at all-time high, or like what are we seeing in terms of like Bitcoin versus alts?
We're seeing a reversal. Like we can say that. If you want to put my chart up one more time.
Yeah, sure.
Let's look at this real quick. So we saw the 66% here, right? Which was, I think, 2 weeks ago when we talked about it here, the end of June. We covered that. And we talked about the kind of new cycle high of Bitcoin dominance, 66%. For anyone who doesn't understand what that means, it means basically that the whole crypto market cap, so all money in crypto, is to 66% in Bitcoin. And only the rest of that is deployed in alternative assets, which is, Ethereum, Solana, all the altcoins. That means, a majority was parked in Bitcoin, which is very typical for this very cycle we're in right now. It's kind of a Bitcoin bull cycle, I would say. And since then we saw like this reversal here to the downside. And right now we're hovering, which happens a lot of times, we're hovering around the 350 moving average of the Bitcoin dominance chart, which has provided some resistance in the past, right, where the price bounced off. But I think right now, there's some indicators we can look at that point towards a decline in Bitcoin dominance, which in return means the liquidity needs to flow somewhere else. Altcoins, right? So that is the thesis here. The thesis is that we are seeing some sort of rotation at any point soon, but it doesn't need to be in the next days and weeks. That's for sure. Like it can take a little bit longer.
This is a really nice segue to our first topic of today, which is that Truth Social, which is owned obviously by the Trump organization, is releasing their own ETF, which is actually interesting. And in this, crypto blue chip ETF, as they call it, they're holding Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, XRP, and something called Cronos. And that's all fine. I don't mind all of that until you look at some of the percentages, which are very bewildering to me. You have 70% Bitcoin, which almost lines up directly with
dominance.
what Bitcoin dominance. So that makes a lot of sense. 15% Ether, okay, a little salty there, but I can understand that. I could see why lesser minds would gravitate towards ETH. 8% Sol, and then 5% Cronos and 2% XRP. Like, this is just some disrespect. What the fuck? Like, are we really putting Cronos in the same? I've never even heard of Cronos, and I'm sure you have. But I was looking at this comment by Zach XBT, who does a lot of on-chain research. And he's like, just a reminder that the original Cronos supply was 100 billion. In 2021, they burned 70 billion of that CRO supply. Earlier this year, they reissued the 70 billion CRO that was burned forever via a governance proposal where validators connected to them controlled 70 to 80% of the voting power. So, we're holding a 5% allocation into CRO, and I'm sure a portion of that CRO was issued over to the Trump organization, and an 8% allocation to Solana. So I don't think those numbers are right, but I mean they're obviously correct. I just don't know if a sane man would would hold this ETF.
I mean, I would love to dig a bit deeper into that. So Cronos is the company token of crypto.com. So
Okay.
basically the exchange, the centralized exchange, crypto.com. And it is interesting to see that that Truth Social decided to put Cronos into this basket next to assets like Ethereum, Solana, Ripple, which obviously
Yeah.
are, huge crypto assets, very established, huge holder base. To an extent, Ripple, you might argue, but kind of quite decentralized. While Cronos is literally a centralized exchange token. It's a company token, right? I probably get beaten up for saying this, but it is a stock, a company stock in the costume of a crypto token. That is completely centralized and basically relies on the governance of crypto.com, the exchange, right? There's not a lot of there's no one really that can influence what happens to Cronos despite the exchange. So that's definitely an interesting move. And I do not know why they put Crow in there, but I'm pretty sure that there is some sort of tie between related companies.
Oh yeah, World Liberty Financial has some sort of standing relationship with crypto.com, I'm sure. And I really love
Yeah.
this explanation by XBT. He goes, it did not matter that only 11% of the validators said yes to the proposal, as opposed to 77.9% who said no, and another 8.4% who abstained. And then Muggsy says, well, people that are buying this, wouldn't even understand what that means. And then Zach says, this is a better explanation. Protocol governance explained. Which color Lambo should the founder buy? 11% yellow, 89% black. The founder. But I like yellow. Votes yellow. So
Yep, that's usually how it works.
that's essentially what happened here with CRO.
I mean, the only thing I can see is that there has been a partnership announcement in April 2025 already, that was finalized with Crypto.com, and they have been selected as the exclusive provider of backend technology for the ETF, providing also custody services, crypto integrations for a series of ETFs. And that includes also staking services and distribution via Crypto.com's regulated broker dealer. So it's a fintech collaboration between the companies here, and the part of the deal was obviously smart from Crypto.com to include their token into the ETF at a pretty staggering rate with 5%. Not gonna lie.
When are we starting an OG Solana bullish ETF where it's a Soul Brothers ETF and it holds, Soul, some salami, we got some Jupe, some Solid, some Cloud. What else do we got in that basket? Bonk, of course.
Bonk, of course, yeah. We just put in what we want, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
It's just
if you have the power to provide the services to put out an ETF, you can also make it on demand.
I mean, at some point, releasing an ETF has to become commoditized, if not fully, just a much simpler process. I actually would love the idea of just a Soul Brothers branded ETF. That shit would be fucking hilarious. And so, like, you don't know what to buy on Solana, and you have no way of buying it on chain. Don't worry. Use your Roth IRA to purchase the Soul Brothers blue chip ETF. All the OG Solana projects in a single bundle.
Don't
not a bad idea.
Don't put ideas on the table that sound too attractive to not pursue. Anyway, we do have more bullish announcements when it comes to Solana, of course, as always. And the next bullish announcement is actually the collaboration between Bullish and Solana. So there's an exchange, a regulated crypto exchange called Bullish. I've seen them around actually, but they're a little bit in the shadows. They're quite big though. 1.4 trillion. What? No, 1.4.
Yeah, 1.4 trillion in volume. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a lot of money. And they partner with Solana Foundation, and they're using now Solana infrastructure, on-chain financial infrastructure, for the exchange.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah, I think that many exchanges, I mean, it depends on the exchange, obviously, but like the different strategies that people will usually use for stablecoin settlement is to use their own native chain as the preferred chain for settlement. So in Coinbase's, I don't know this for a fact, but I'd be willing to bet a pretty dollar that Coinbase is probably using Base for all their stablecoin transactions. Would make sense for them to do so, pump the numbers. And I suppose other exchanges that are more philosophically aligned with certain chains, for example, Tron, the number one stablecoin on Tron is USDT. So it would make a lot of sense for like Tron heavy sexes to use Tron for settlement. This time around, the good guys have won. And so we have our friends over at Bullish who will now be using Solana native stablecoins as the primary asset for custody, for payments, for settlement, for future innovation. So congratulations on that partnership. I'm sure that there are a bunch of other exchanges that are already doing this without a big fancy announcement, just because it makes sense. So
Yeah,
I'm not that
potentially,
surprised.
but it's bullish for Solana though, right? Because we're bringing use cases on chain. They're using Solana. They're going to settle transactions on chain using our infrastructure, paying gas fees in Solana, driving demand for Solana up, token go up, right? So that's kind of like, my take is that this is very positive for our beautiful token for Solana.
Woo. More the only time in which I care about a centralized exchange is how much volume are they bringing to our chain. So if they're bringing stablecoin volume to our chain, I will fucking take it. And speaking of Solana Foundation, our friend Vibhu, he's moved somewhere. Where is he moved to, Simon?
So here's the thing. Like, I knew this is going to happen because if you are a big Soul Brothers fan, you might know that we shipped a Jim Brothers episode where Vibhu actually allowed me to walk him through a workout, which was lots of fun. So we did it in New York, and obviously we chatted a little bit in between the lines. And he already told me that things are happening and things are moving, and he wants to have a different role in the ecosystem. And he wants to move away from Jupiter after basically facilitating the transition from, his company Drip that got sold to Jupiter, acquired by Jupiter. And he wanted to, basically make sure that everything runs smoothly operationally. So he stayed with them for a few months. And then after pretty much exactly 3 months, he then decided to make it public that he, exits the position at Jupiter. And he already told me back then that he is eyeing a role at Foundation, because that's pretty much the only thing he felt like is missing in his career on the Solana ecosystem. Because what do you do? Like, what do you do? If you build a company, make it actually successful to an extent that you have users, you have business, you make revenue, and you get acquired by most arguably the biggest DApp on Solana, Jupiter. You sell to that company. You're very acknowledged personality in the ecosystem. Where do you go? Do you start a different venture? You could do that probably, or you just retire. You get the fuck out of crypto and you say, screw you guys, I'm done with this shit. Or you say, I want to move the big pieces. I want to, steer the ship. And that's what he did. He joined Solana Foundation. What's your take on the whole story? Like, do you have an opinion on his move here?
Yeah. Obviously, I would prefer a world in which Vibhu was still at Jupiter, because
he's an asset.
Excuse me?
He's an asset. He's an asset for a company like Jupiter. He's a big asset.
Oh yeah, for sure. He totally is a huge asset. And I'm very Jupiter aligned, and I think most of us have Jupe bags. So like, obviously we would prefer on some level to have Vibhu at Jupiter. But at the same time, I think that what he's going to be able to accomplish over at Solana Foundation is going to be second to none. One thing that I've been struck by in my conversations with Vibhu is that he's very well considered, takes his time to think through things, and isn't very impulsive. I generally agree with most of the things that he says, which is not true for most people in the space. And the one thing that really caught my eye in this whole announcement post was, I feel the same wonder about what could be as I did 4 years ago when I started working here. I think about Google and Amazon from 2000 to 2010 and what they were able to accomplish, which was nothing short of changing the course of history. And I do agree. This is something that I feel very deeply in my bones, is if we're successful over the next decade, you and I will be small blips in the larger tapestry that is the Solana ecosystem. When you think about, we talked about this on a podcast that we were on recently, but I do think that we're on the precipice of 100xing or 1000xing the Solana ecosystem. I'm not talking about the businesses themselves. I'm talking about the ecosystem, the people who work here.
Yeah.
And so it makes a lot of sense that he would go over to Solana Foundation to help lead product marketing, because he actually has quite a few, I think, useful pieces of advice to give. And I think he tried to do very much the same thing at Drip as well, is try to make Solana more accessible to your average creator, not just like something that only a Web3 degen would understand.
So he's joining Foundation in the marketing department, basically working alongside Akshay, who is the non-CMO/CMO of Solana Foundation. And in his role, where do you see Vibhu's impact potentially on the Solana ecosystem? A character like him in his role, like I think he's gonna probably zoom out a lot. Think about how Solana is perceived from not just retail, but institutions as well, bigger companies. Maybe facilitate also business between some of these entities. Is that something that you could imagine him working on?
Yeah, like obviously Vibhu is super well connected in the space, and that's actually, I believe, a prerequisite to working at Solana Foundation. I mean, there are plenty of hires that I won't name at Solana Foundation that started pretty green. But I just mean that you're at a competitive advantage if you have already done like years of vetting yourself, just building in the space, right? And so my hunch is that he's going to be working with some of the best protocols and using them as an example of the best that the Solana Foundation, the Solana ecosystem has to offer, and just to boost those teams by whatever means necessary. I'm not talking about their tokens, but just in terms of the actual products themselves. So that's the direction I think that they're going in with. I mean, I don't know. I haven't asked him directly.
Yeah, we're just speculating here. We're just giving our take on what we're observing, but looking forward to follow the journey, and maybe we can have a chat with Vibhu at some point as well, as part of the Sol Brothers. I think he would be probably an interesting guest as well, especially now with his work at Foundation. But I mean, Jupiter is still alive, very much alive, also without Vibhu, and they are pressing onwards and forwards. And not only forwards, they also show us what happened in the past, because Jupiter just shipped the Q2 token holder update, which is a huge leaflet. It's actually it's a big report, multiple pages PDF long, that you can dive into yourself, or you do the shortcut and you listen to the Sol Brothers, because we want to take a look at the report as well and give you the TLDR of it and tell you more about what has been discussed there and give you our takes on it, right? So let's do this in this section of the pod. Let's talk about Jupiter update Q2.
Before we jump into this, like, just to make this really clear, it's not like Jupiter really needed a token holder update. And the reason why I say they don't really need it is because this is a company that's performing so fucking well on every imaginable metric that it to many of us, including us who are building, specifically people who are building, it's so self-evident, right? It's all like, you'll look at the numbers and you won't be surprised by them. As someone who's in the ecosystem already and like has been building here for several years, like you're like, yes, these numbers are insane, and they perfectly match what I thought like Jupiter's level of competence and execution is, right? That being said, we cannot deny that Q2 of this year has been brutal for the Jupe token, right? Like absolutely fucking brutal. And so there's a lot of, I wouldn't even call it fat, but there's been a lot of things that have been cut out from Jupiter just recently so that they could focus on one thing and one thing only, which seems to be token sentiment. That's my best guess, right? So like there's a bunch of other things that are useful to Jupiter, but I think there's a lot of operational overhead or considered superfluous to that effort. And so like the main name of the game right now is to focus all attention on, token sentiment. And so this report is the first step, and I believe many steps that will be taken to reflect that. Can we also just comment on how the new Jupiter PFP is a pudgy?
Bro, that is a whole different story. And I do not know 100% how Pudgy pulled this off, but so many major accounts across ecosystems adopted a Pudgy PFP. I don't know what's happening, honestly. Like, I mean, Pudgy, I know Pudgy is huge, but I don't know what Luca's doing. Yeah, he has a great network.
He doesn't just have a great network. He's very good at advocating for himself. Like, I just would not have the balls as a founder to, and this is something I got to work on, but I just don't have the balls to be like, hey, Jupiter, do you, do you mind if you change the fucking PFP of your Twitter account to a Pudgy?
This is Jupiter, right? Like the biggest DEX aggregator on Solana. Type in MetaMask in your search bar on Twitter and check what you see there.
Yeah, I already know what I'm going to be seeing. Hello, MetaMask.e.
Yeah, it's like it's the MetaMask. It's like the biggest fucking wallet in history. Obviously on a different blockchain, but still now on Solana as well, on a different node. But they also adopted it. If you look up, I think Radium had it for a while. Now they just posted the penguin. Like Radium also did it. The list is super long, so I don't know what's happening right now, but Pudgy made a new all-time high, by the way.
I mean, Pudgy is the second largest meme coin on Solana now, right after Bonk, and I think just stuff like this matters. It helps. And Luca is just he's very, very good at what he does. So I give him all the props in the world. He's clearly a very sharp founder who knows how to negotiate and also has a very wide circle of friends. Yes. I hope to learn these skills.
I'm just scrolling through the Pudgy page right now, and it's just insane. Like fucking Nansen PFP is a Pudgy, fucking Degen News PFP, then Drift is a Pudgy as well right now. Trust Wallet, Soul Strategies. Like there's a bunch of huge accounts, like huge accounts. Alchemy is a Pudgy. Cast tried it. Maybe they had it for like a day or so. They all, at least the minimum they all did is posted. MoonPay Pudgy PFP. Abstract chain. Okay, Abstract of course is Pudgy PFP. That's their own chain. Coinbase had it for a while as well. I don't know if they changed it back, but anyway, I guess Pudgy is here to stay. Besides Bonk, right? I mean, probably, next in line. Huh? I mean, Bonk is obviously our favorite meme here on Solana for good reasons. But Pudgy seems to be well adopted.
Dude, we haven't even gotten to these numbers, which is insane. It's okay. Like,
let's go ahead.
But in Q2, for people who weren't paying attention, this includes myself, so no harm, no foul. We weren't even in a bull run, and we have over $142 billion in volume just for Q2 alone, and over $80 million in fees. That's just for the swap product itself. That does not include Jupiter Pro, Jupiter Mobile, Jupiter Perps, Jupiter Portfolio, Jupiter Developer APIs, Jupiter Z, Moonshot, which is they own a majority stake in, public goods, a transparency audit on the Blockwords transparency report, Litterbox, which is continuing to stack more and more Jupe in fees. JLP, which is continuing to just print on an index of Ethereum and Bitcoin and Solana. And of course, like a whole, list of different partnerships. I mean, the amount, we could really go over the different products, like the different launches, the over 500,000 users of Jupiter Mobile, the 2.5 trillion in total volume, lifetime volume in swaps. I mean, what do you want me to say, Simon? It's just, this is a company that prints fucking money and has world-class talent and some pretty cracked founders in a C-suite that is ruthlessly effective. So, I mean, it's just a constant uptrain, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. I think to an extent it must be. So maybe let's just do like let me give you a few bullet points of very bullish things about Jupiter, and you just named a few lists already. Like, just I want to highlight a few things, and then maybe we need to find maybe one counterpart. We need to find the other side of the coin. You brainstorm while I'm talking. Anything that you can share with listeners that might be less bullish, anything that might be controversial, anything that might be a threat for Jupiter. Okay, as a company,
Sure.
we wanna also put some light on that, because I think as a business you have to keep pay attention to potential threats as well to your company, right? So
Yeah.
we need to think about that as well. What didn't go so right? Because obviously the Q2 report from Jupiter has been done by Jupiter, which means that obviously it's only positive news in there, which makes a lot of sense. I would do the same. But there might be also some flip sides here and there, right? So we need to transparently report both. But when it comes to the bullish news, I think they are definitely bigger than whatever we will find that is constructive feedback. But revenues are crazy for Jupiter. Not gonna lie, they did. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, only Q2, right? So there was downturn in Q2. Like, the second quarter of the year was not super bullish for crypto. It was kind of mostly down and sideways. They did $11 million only with Ultra mode. So if you enable Ultra mode on your swaps to get better execution for your swaps, you pay a fee. So $11 million of revenue from there. That is 30% of the revenue. And then they have RFQ with 3 million. They have trigger and limit orders 600K, and they have JupSol revenue, which is 300K. And obviously from all that revenue, they also put 50% back into the Litterbox Trust, which is an on-chain wallet that you can track, that is accumulating a lot of Jup these days. Right now, there is 62 million Jup in there, up to 100%. And that is around more than 30 million USDC that is locked in there until at least 2027. With their buyback program, they're using the revenues, 50% revenues, to buy back Jup, and that resulted now in more than 30 million USDC in there, which is also pretty crazy. Another bullish stat I want to give here is that 22.5% of circulating supply is actually staked. 22.5% of circulating supply is Jup staked, which is also up 10% in Q2, even though governance is now paused for 2025, resuming in 2026, because the DAO got a little pause over here for some reasons. So yeah, lots of bullish news when it comes to only the numbers, right? And that only covers a few of the products.
Yeah. Well, obviously, in terms of bearish things that we should keep an eye out with regards to Jupiter, number one, they're expanding very, very quickly.
Right.
And when you're at this stage of the game, you actually do have to expand very, very aggressively, because what kills businesses all the time is that an upstart competitor comes in and they have some magical combination of product market fit, narrative, money behind them, a magical moment, something that happens that, I don't know, Jupiter, God forbid, goes down for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and that becomes FUD that opens the door for a competitor, right? So when you have an existential risk like that, the only way that you can mitigate for competitors is to expand your offering, right? And what we've seen with Jupiter over the last 6, 7, 8 months is really, really, really aggressive expansion to now where Jupiter truly is aiming to be the DeFi super app of not just Solana, but crypto, right? And this includes JupeNet, which isn't even in any of these fucking holder updates. And it's arguably one of the biggest changes coming to Jupiter in the future. And nobody's talking about it yet because it's not out yet. So when you're working on that many things, it just means that there's going to be waste, right? And that's unavoidable, by the way. Like, any company that is aggressively expanding is going to work on things that will fail, right? And so the thing is, CT is not very forgiving about, I mean, in some cases they can be quite forgiving, but in other cases they can be very, very harsh. It just kind of depends on how big you are. If you're smaller, they tend to be a little bit nicer. But if you're big like Jupiter, they don't really give a fuck about if you're having a hard day, right? They just expect things to be perfect, which is unreasonable, but that's just what people expect, right? So that's things are not going to be perfect at Jupiter. They're shooting a lot of bullets, and many of these bullets are not going to hit their targets. And that's painful to say because you want to be bullish forever and be like, oh my god, every product that Meow and the team comes up with is just fucking out of the park and it's going to pump my toe. That's just not true. That cannot be true. There's nothing in life that works like that. I mean, this could be the one instance in human history where that is not correct, but like that's just how it is, right? And the second thing is, I think DAO governance. There's part of it I think is squarely on the community. I place a lot of blame on individual community members or fudders, and also another half of it has to be just the way that Jupiter's communicating. They did not find a way to make that work. Does that mean that they're incompetent? No, but it just means objectively what they tried did not work, right? Another example of things that don't work out sometimes. Before Jupiter DAO was the LFG token launchpad, which you were a part of, and that didn't work out either. So there are clearly things that Jupiter worked on that just hasn't really been working out, and it will continue to be the case. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of my 2 cents on, but I don't think these are unique to Jupiter. These are unique to any company that is growing aggressively. Either you expand or you die.
Fail fast has been a motto out of Silicon Valley since Silicon Valley exists. You need to fail fast. That means, fuck around, try out, see what happens. Better ask for forgiveness than for for allowance, right? Or for permission.
Yeah.
So
that's beg for forgiveness, ask for permission later.
Here we go, right? And that's kind of the startup mentality. You have to. Otherwise you get outpaced by others. You need to experiment. I think what is one of the most important thing as a startup that you need to be good at is to fail as fast as you can, to burn as little resources as possible in the endeavor of finding something that sticks. That means you cannot avoid burning resources for nothing, throwing it in black. You cannot. It's always going to happen in a startup. But as a founder, as a founding team, as a team in general, you need to be good at being efficient in failing and quick, right? So and that's something I think Jupiter is actually pretty good at. Like they fuck around, they try out things, right? And they go full throttle. But if it doesn't work, whatever, we try something else. Right? And they're trying not to waste too much resources on it. So LFG was interesting. It was a very good mind experiment back then, the launchpad, the initial launchpad. But after a few months of trying really hard, they were like, okay, fuck it. Let's just, pause this, move on, do something else. And then they launched like 5 fucking other products and acquired 2 other companies and whatever. Right, up to the next one. And then, they acquired Solana Floor. They built Jupiter Portfolio, and it's a fucking great product that fits neatly into their product suite and is being used a lot. So definitely, lots of bullish things that are going on, with a lot of failing as well included in there, but that's just the journey. So I think, we're looking forward to the next quarter. We're looking forward to more news. We're looking forward to Jupiter Lent. We're looking forward to JupNet, which is going to come out. We're looking forward to the expansion of Jupiter Studio, which is already live right now. So lots of new things coming out as well that we can double tap on in future episodes here as well. But for now, we want to cover other protocols on Solana as well, right? There's like a few more news we want to ship here in today's EP. And before we wrap up today with some pump drama, we want to talk about SNS, because there is at least 2 things we want to double tap on here as well when it comes to SNS news. Is that right,
That's correct. And the first is that if you're using the Coin98 wallet, so you'd most likely be using Coin98 if you're based out of Vietnam. Hi, guys. Good to see you if you're tuning in from Hanoi or from Da Nang or over in Ho Chi Minh. But wherever you are, hopefully from Vietnam, if you have a Coin98 account and a Coin98 wallet, you should connect it over to the SNS website. And then unlock your bonus dots, which will be matched for an SNS pool for users in the LFG campaign. Coin98 is one of the bigger exchanges in the world, dominating Southeast Asia, specifically Vietnam. So it's great that they have this partnership with SNS to allow their wallet users to farm more points for I think they have a remaining 20% of the token supply that they're going to be airdropping. So that's pretty sick.
Yes. And Coin98 is not the only wallet that is jumping on that opportunity.
Nope.
There's also more friends. Who else we have?
Yes. We also have our friends over at Solflare. Obviously, it's no secret that Simon and I are huge Solflare fans. I do often wear my Solflare gear, that striped baseball jersey. It's really good for a workout, very breathable. But they also are getting bonus dots, so a 5% bonus dot, more SNS for your claim if you're using Solflare for the SNS LFG campaign. So I think what's funny is that for most people, they don't even have to do anything. They can just continue to buy SNS domains using their Solflare wallet, and that'll just be enough.
Damn, I'm really one of the first things I did on Solana was getting a .sol. Back then, obviously, when I, went into Solana, I just made a Phantom because I was, silly, and I was like, okay, Phantom works for both Ethereum, Solana, whatever. Let's try it out. So my domain is living on my Phantom wallet. So now I have this dilemma of not being able to get 5% bonus points because I need to buy domains with my Solflare account. I guess that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Before we go into Pump, though, there is a bit of cultural news that I'd like to share, a little friendly competition from the bald man himself. I am starting a new show where I talk to people I find most interesting in crypto tech startups about product, performance, and philosophy. Focus will be on quality over quantity and increasing the signal to noise ratio in crypto to tech. Man, could you imagine if Mert's ultimate evolution is to become like crypto Lex Friedman? That would be fucking hilarious if that's what his end journey in crypto is.
I mean, yeah. What's the what's the name of the biggest podcast on earth? The bald guy. How do I forget his name? The bald guy, like the biggest podcast in the world.
Oh, you're talking about Joe Rogan?
Yeah, Joe Rogan. So like the Joe Rogan of Solana would actually be very fitting because he's bald as well. And and they're both kind of blunt, in their opinions. That is maybe Mert is the Joe Rogan of Solana now. I think. I mean, when I read the tweet, I was like, that's cool. I respect Mert a lot. Like he's a good guy, obviously. And it sounds like an interesting show. I was confused because of that, what you're reading right there on the screen right now, because I knew that Mert was running Lightspeed before, right? The Lightspeed podcast. I think it's sponsored by Blockworks, but now it says, yes, it means I'm leaving Lightspeed. Yeah, okay. So that's the news. Mert is leaving Lightspeed podcast to do his own thing, to sit down with interesting people and talk with them. Interesting move. Why did he do that? Why did he leave
Lightspeed? I mean, well, first of all, Lightspeed is more of Jack's podcast, and I've always kind of felt that way.
Gotcha.
But also, I think Lightspeed also is very focused, right, on crypto content. Built for Solana investors, developers, and community members. And they even took out Mert, so it's just it's just Jack now. Jack is also a friend and a member of Mustache now. Mustache is on top. But more important, dude, you got to shave off the beard and just join Mustache now. I'd love to have you in there.
Maybe at one point we can make a change on that.
You could start Beard DAO with Tolly and Mert. You guys could all join that.
Damn.
Yeah. I'm
down.
This is obviously going to do very well. Mert, I think, is an incredible mind and an interviewer, but his logo is absolutely atrocious. This logo sucks. This reminds me of Soul Brothers V1. Like, to be fair, our very first logo for Soul Brothers was very bad. It was like super, super bad. It was something that I made in Figma with Simon's face and my face with Solana glasses. It was so fucking cringe. And I feel the exact same way about this ACC logo. This logo feels like he sells air conditioners. That's what this is like. Come on. Accelerate your air conditioners at home with Mert. This is the air conditioner repair YouTube channel.
Yeah, so the news is out, ladies and gentlemen. Mert left the Solana ecosystem and he's now selling air conditioners, and he's posting about it in his new blog, vlog style, where he sells ACs, and his first customer is Anatoly from Solana. I don't know what's happening, but I agree with you. The design could be a bit better, but looking below the design, I hope the content is good. I haven't seen the first video yet. But yeah, good to have another one here in the podcast scene, I guess. Obviously, he won't be able to beat the Sol brothers, but good to have Mert as well in the arena, in the podcast arena. I mean,
always
he
good
was
to have him
there,
back in the arena. Yeah.
I
mean, was he? I also questioned that as well.
Yeah, he was just there. He was just there for the name, I guess. He was just
sure.
He was just marketing Lightspeed. Anyway,
but this is the mood.
What the fuck's happening?
This is what everybody wants to talk about. Pump.fun has raised $600 million. Their pre-sale of the token lasted, all but 12 minutes, and the valuation total is for $4 billion. And if we look at the price chart right now, it went live about an hour ago, just about.
Okay.
And so the price has been holding up. It's currently at 5.4 billion. So if you bought during the pre-sale, you were 100%. Everybody's in profit. If you bought these pumps up, you
Can I say something?
But this is not looking bullish. Go ahead.
The pre-sale tokens are locked for 24 to 48 hours, I believe, after trading starts. I'm pretty sure they're not unlocked yet. So basically, there's a transfer hook. You cannot transfer your tokens for the first 24 hours ish. So that means, which is smart, like people that bought in the pre-sale, they can't dump right now. There's like natural price discovery. Hopefully consider shorting this, but dangerous territory. But if you want to degen around, probably safer than buying tokens on pump.fun. It's safer to short pump right now.
Oh, for sure. Using Simon's speak, as you can see, there's a retrace from the Fibonacci levels all the way from the top over here down to lower lows. Man. We're now on the second.
That's not how I sound.
Well, okay, that's not how you sound. But sorry,
you can do better than that. You can. I believe to be fair, to impersonate me.
To be clear, I did say Simon speak, not like okay. It's like what I think your TA kind of sounds like, but to be fair, that's not like what you sound like at all. But what I am picking up here for real, and this is something I've actually learned, is that it is bearish if you see kind of like lower lows continuing to be established wave after wave after wave, right? And that's I mean that's obvious, right? But like to someone like me who's been like TA blind for most of his life, like that was not obvious to me, and that's just it's like very apparent to me that this is what is most likely going to happen is just lower lows until it crashes through some I mean, like this is probably some support level, right? Like I'm not even looking at TradingView, and I can already imagine there's some level of support right here at like the 50 cent level, probably around here. Excuse me.
So what valuation would that be? Like right now we're trading at
5.3. So yeah, so it'd be 5.3
in the top row.
It's right here.
No, I mean on the chart top row, there's like price and market cap.
We can
switch to
no problem.
And then we can. So right now we're at 5, and then the lowest wick down there is like at okay. So 4, because 4 is basically the valuation that we're looking for the pre-sale people, which was quite a significant amount of people that bought in there. So I guess that would be the level to watch where we could break below, because obviously the pre-sale people won't sell below 4 billion. That would be pretty stupid. Only if they're like, okay, fuck it was a wrong decision to get into this. I want out. Then they would sell, but they'll also try to sell above it. But I think what's pretty interesting is definitely that they are right now trading above the initial 4 billion. There was a pretty significant private investment round before the pre-sale, like a few weeks back, at 1.5 billion. So these people are definitely in profit, and they will provide some selling pressure now. The volume was pretty strong, like 200 mil of volume right now is definitely not bad. and I think 50 million liquidity. Like all the stats look obviously really good. Like Pump has the mind share right now as a token. The question is going forward, right? Like what's going to happen with this after this initial sell-off happens now, because the pre-sale people will try to make some money back as soon as possible. So they will at least take some profits. That will create selling pressure. Airdrops, I think there could be some significant airdrops that we will see coming out of pumpdotfun. People are demanding it. They're not just expecting it, they're demanding it. People are screaming, you guys made so much money, give us back some of the returns here. Yeah. So there's a 24% allocation. That's $960 million, almost $1 billion, which is similar to what Jupe did, by the way, 1 billion airdrop. And it's reserved for community and ecosystem. So the question mark here is, airdrop question mark. And I think it's going to be less than that. I don't think they're going to do the full 24% that's in a token distribution chart into an initial airdrop. No way. But I think the number I've seen around was like 10% ish, which is still $500 million, like $500 million worth of airdrops. If that gets airdrop, poop in your wallet, you're going to sell or hold. I'm pretty sure people take profit. So more selling pressure initially. So all that might be a bit bearish on the token here. Yeah.
I got a pretty firm prediction. I think that after all these pre-sale people get their hands on their token, this shit is going to crash fast. I'm thinking probably sub-billion FDV within the week. I'm fairly certain that's where this is going to go. And then it raises the question, because we've seen this so many times at this point. What does that do to the larger? It's actually better for Solana, even though I dislike Pump. It actually is better for Solana for Pump the token to do well, right? Because it signals strength in alts and makes people more willing to gamble. So if I'm just talking about what would be best for everybody, it would be for Pump to do well. But I think that the amount of sell pressure for people who bought in the pre-sale, like people who just want to cash out and make sure they don't lose money, especially if it just continues to trade sideways like this. I don't know very many people who would be willing to just hold, especially not with a team like this that has very little track record in, caring.
But what they do have a track record is making money. Like they built a very successful application, made a lot of money,
but is that money going to go to you? As a token holder, like I would have doubts if I were you.
I've heard rumors. Sure. I've heard rumors, right? 25% revenue share for the Pump token. So 25% of all the revenues the platform makes back to the Pump token.
Look, let me just say this from a very biased perspective. They're valued at 5.4 billion, which is literally double that of Bonk at this moment.
Yep.
I would feel, and I do feel, more safe holding, first of all, Bonk is putting, I think, 50% of their profits into their exchange, into the token. Plus, they have more volume now, and they're basically eating away at Pump Fund's core business. And so, what value accrual? I mean, they've made a lot of money in the past. Are they going to put that into the token now? Fuck no. No. Why is Pump even doing this? Pump is doing this so that they can do a Ripple style raise, right? Ripple famously raised, what was it, 2 or 4 billion, something ridiculous off the ICO. And ever since then, what have they been doing? They've been living off the interest, they've just been chilling. They can run that Brad Garlinghouse, he can run that company forever, for decades, and it just he would never run out of fucking money unless he did something supremely retarded. So that's what Pump, I think, is trying to do, is just any project that they want to run ever in the future, they'll have enough money to invest in it, and they can survive as a company. This is fuck you money, and that's what they care about. They don't give a shit about you or your token or value accrual. That's what I think. But I am, as you know, very harsh on that team. So
they also wanna kill Facebook, Instagram.
No, they don't. No,
and
they don't.
TikTok.
No, they don't.
They want to.
No, they
They
don't.
said it.
They don't. They don't even want to do that. That's like, do you think people actually believe that? Like, I do you believe that on any level? I don't believe that on any level. Like, not even
I don't
in the
know the team.
slightest.
I do not. I only know the team superficially from the things I see on crypto Twitter, right, in my little bubble.
I see.
So if these guys are like, hey, we made a bunch of money, what should I do with my life now? Like, am I gonna, fucking chill and go in the yard, whatever, maybe, or do I want to build shit and build a company and do something crazy? And maybe there's a potential that they actually, that they're gonna hire some fucking A-class people in their company. They find some talent, they put them to work. They tell them, look, we're gonna revolutionize social media, and we're adding money into the mix. On our social media platform, you can make money. Everyone, right? That's the pitch. You can live stream here, you can post here, you can talk about, you can be a creator, but you own your brand by having a token. And if you're very successful in your content creation, in your live streaming, if you entertain people, they will flock in, they'll buy your token, you'll make money on the fees. That's it, right?
This just feels like crime is legal again, and I don't like. This just reminds me of the of the live streams. I don't know. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying,
here.
but I'm just
the live streams are happening. They are happening.
Yeah.
So let's see how it goes. We don't know. We can't predict the future. We can give you our takes, and we'll observe, and we'll check in again next week when the dust settles a little bit around the whole launch of pumpdotfun.
Yeah,
I think that's the only thing we can do.
Yeah, I just hate. I really want to unpack this with you at some point, right? Like, instead of just doing these surface level disagreements, it's like, well, why do infinite tokens bother us? I mean, like, I don't know if it bothers you as much as it bothers me, but it bothers the shit out of me. The more I think about like Meow's like Web4 thesis, and the more I think about people who believe in a future in which we have infinite tokens, I just see waste. I see tremendous amounts of waste for that capital, and for what, right? If it really is about aligning values, and this token represents my share of these shared values, then I kind of get it, but still feels like too fluffy for me to actually give a shit about. Like, what does it actually practically mean for me? As a normal person. But
it's true. I mean, you're getting into the midst of the question of, okay, what is crypto there for? What are crypto tokens there for? What should their core utility be of crypto tokens, right? Then we talk about Bitcoin. Then we talk about gas tokens like Ethereum and Solana that power smart contract platforms that you can build upon, right? But then there comes a lot of noise, right? Below that. Then now we have a big trend that I believe in a lot, is just the tokens that make you owner of the protocol, right? That you share the success. Jupiter is a great example of that. If you believe in Jupiter, you hold Jupe, you make money with Jupe, right? Those are companies. Should creators be entitled or able to run their own show in a similar manner, where they are, I'm my company, I'm the creator, I put out my token, and I do my thing. I just, I don't need to make money on ads or sponsorships or whatever. I just, have my token, it's trading, it makes money. Is pumpdotfun do they have any revenue share when it comes to the any fee sharing? I think that's their shortcoming, right? That's where they fail. What Bonk and Jupe's doing better, at least Bonk is doing it, where you can actually, like, if I launch a token on Bonk, right, I make shitload of money on the fees, on the LP. If I'm and I think with Pump it's a bit different. That's why I like Bonk Fun much more as well. Like, this makes a lot of sense for me, because then I don't need to milk my token too much, right? Sure, you can take some profits here and there and sell here and there as a creator of the token, but basically on Jupe Studio right now, and on Bonk, you can blast the token out, no allocation for yourself, zero, complete fair launch, community owns everything, and you just make sure that this thing is being traded, right? That people, swap in and swap out, and you make money on the swaps. People have fun trading it. Some people lose money, some people make money, and the platform who's powering it makes money as well. And if you're Bonk, you also put that money back into the ecosystem. Win-win.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Is that a good or a bad thing for the ecosystem? Well, I don't know. It's different. It's not protocol tokens like Jupiter and SNS, like Jupiter and SNS or Cloud or Solid, right? Like we're in a different category here. It's not a gas token like Sol and ETH. It's not Bitcoin. It's something new. It's infinite currencies, as Meow would say. It's creator coins, as Jesse from Base would say. I fucking hated that theme back then, but but now we're here. Now we got him.
Well,
now
I mean,
we got a creator token.
Isn't that what Jupiter Studio is though? I mean, it's
Yeah,
less cringe than it's less cringe than what Base was doing. And the reason why it's less cringe than what Base was doing is because Base was literally trying to create what felt like, I don't know how to describe this, Instagram, but you could turn posts into tokens, which just felt like
it was weird. It was
all
really
the
weird.
design logic was just off. It's just like, even if you believe in creator tokens, this is the weirdest way to express that idea. Because, right, you can have an idea in 1,000 ways to execute it, and they chose the weirdest path.
Yep, I agree. It was very weird. But now with Jupiter Studio, everyone can go out there and we can go out there as Soul Brothers and we can launch a token and we can mobilize people and make money on the fees and join the Twitter spaces with Jupiter and rally people together if we want to do that.
If there was a token that I would want to launch associated with us, it would be like, I've said in the past that I'd never want to launch a token, and I have changed my mind a bit from it, but there are some like really weird conditions for a token that I would launch. Number one is that like I would never be like profit from it, if that makes sense, right? Like I would have no allocation, or if I was given an allocation, I would just burn it, right? I think that's like one thing that would be very important to me, is that people realize that my motivations for this are not financial on my own. And like second is like, I'd like the profits to be used for something that I actually think matter, right? Because even if I own tokens, like I might even just use it for protocol owned liquidity, right? Where you're earning fees on that liquidity, as opposed to like, does that make sense? Like, I mean, the money's not really
for sure.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
You don't like zero, and there's a few launches like this on Jupiter on Studio right now, and even on Bonk as well. Like tokens that were completely fair launched, like no team allocation, put out there, and then the whole idea is just to get people excited about it and make them trade the token and number go up. But sure, I mean, the question is always like, why is number going up? Because people buy into it, right? And then the more people buy into it, there's always going to be a redistribution of wealth. So if you have a live token, you make some people rich and you make some people poor. Right? Because the money is not coming out of nowhere, right? It's coming from somewhere. It's not being printed. Like we're not the central bank.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of interesting things that you could do with creator tokens, but like I just feel like a very specific way to do it that makes sense for everybody, that doesn't turn you into a fucking token show.
Yeah. I mean, like one thing that I want to say here, as we're getting closer to an end, Jupiter is actually organizing creator spaces now frequently. It became a thing. The first creator space happened, I think, last week. I was there live with Will in Cannes in South France when we did it, and then there was a second one this week, and today was another one. Should be over by now. But these creator spaces are basically Twitter spaces, like in the old days, where people just come together, and then there's a few token creators on stage that just talk about their token that they launched, about their ideas around it. They take questions, they discuss things together in the community, and you have the Jupiter team on site, like a few of the chats. I'm usually in there as well if I have the time, just to vibe a little bit and give my 2 cents to things. Maybe we should join these as well. You should also come and hang in one of these next ones and just emerge in this conversation with other creators that are actually utilizing the token launch platform, Jupiter Studio. And see where it goes.
Watch me launch a token next week.
Let's go live on stream, guys. Let's see. Everything is possible on Solana. Everything is possible on Solana. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, let's call it a day. I think we covered not only the latest and greatest, we did some deep dives as well today. So thanks a lot for tuning in to Sol Brothers once again. Make sure to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, Sol Brothers Pod on YouTube. And you will get more of us if you'd like. We will be there again with another episode next week. You can watch the live stream live on Twitter every single Monday. So just make sure to not miss these as well if you want to hang with us. Usually we stay a few minutes after the recording as well to talk with the people. So yeah, thanks for joining, and we'll see you at the next one. Until then, have a good week.
Adios. Bye.